Hello, hello. Welcome in. My name is Lauren B. This is going to be a general collective reading update. I have two decks for us today. I have the Field Tarot, which is absolutely adorable. And if you like this deck as we use it today, stick around because we are going to be doing a giveaway with this deck later this month. We are also going to be using the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which basically flung itself off of my tarot shelf and like onto the floor. And so it felt very much like it wanted to be used today. But what's interesting is when I sat down to pull in the energy, the first thing that came through really strongly is, what's up with Hecate? What's up with Hecate? And it's the way it rings in my head is not like, what's going on with her? Like, where is she? What's wrong? Like, it's not that energy. It feels like the Drew Barrymore show or like the Rosie O'Donnell show, or what is it? Sally Jesse Raphael, that show. I don't know why that's coming to my mind, but it's like, what's up with Hecate? And it's coming through. And so in terms of Hecate, I want to remind everyone who doesn't know that Hecate is a very like multi-faceted energy. It's multi-dimensional, it's multicultural. When you research Hecate and her origins, kind of like to the beginning, you could see that she's very clearly part of like those like deep primordial feminine sources of power and magic. She's like a really big all-encompassing energy. She holds the keys to like literally like everything in existence according to her mythology. And so when I say like, what's up with Hecate, or Hecate has a message that she wants to bring forward today in order to help like the spiritual education, I just want to reiterate that this message is not coming forward from all of the Hecates. It's coming through an aspect of Hecate that I worship and work with in my practice, and it feels like she has like a message that she wants to relay for those of you that resonate with her energy, or the aspect of her energy that is similar to the one that I resonate to. Why do I need to put that disclaimer? Because she said so. And maybe especially when it comes to deity channelings, like period, that might be like a piece of information that is helpful for you guys to go, oh, it's not just Athena, or it's not just like Odin and all of Odin, right? It could just be this aspect of that energy that connects with this reader, and that aspect is coming forward and not all of it. For whatever reason, that felt like I wanted to come through. But this what's up with Hecate? What's up with Hecate? And it feeling like this daytime talk show host. The impression that I'm getting is that a lot of you are interested in working with Hecate, she's trying to express that for some of you, it might not be even specifically her, but like just working with some of these heavier, primordial, even like darker or like Chetonic feminine energies, like regardless of culture, regardless of pantheon, that there's something about an intimidation to approach like the primordial feminine energies in some way. And they're actually showing me, oh, that's so interesting. They're showing me a league of their own. And I will go back and forth saying she and they, because Hecate is like a multi-part energy. Often she comes forward as like a triple goddess. So if I go before she and they, that's what that is. She's showing me the scene with Tom Hanks, and like, there's no crying in baseball, and there's sort of like a giggle, and then she pushes it away. But showing me like a league of their own, that just because some of these heavier or darker or scarier or more primordial spiritual feminine energies, just because they're not necessarily like in the same guild or as popular or as like automatic, like there's something about like the automatic. When you think baseball, you think MLB, you think the Yankees, you think the Red Sox, you think that, I don't know, the Phillies, right? But you wouldn't necessarily think of like, I don't know, like a women's softball team, even if that isn't necessarily fair, right? And so there's something about a lot of you may have like your automatic or your go-tos in the spirit. Like I go to my grandma, or I go to Archangel Michael, or I go to this demon, or I go to Lucifer, or I go to Odin, or I go to my whatever. You go to these different places, but there's feels as though there's something like a whisper in the wind that like calls you to like she's calling it a higher altar, that calls you to a higher altar. But there is an intimidation in approaching the altar, and I think it has to do with some, how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to use the word toxic because that doesn't feel right, but some complicated or unbalanced dynamics that you've had with women. Like essentially what she's saying is that a lot of you have a hard time tapping into your feminine power, and not just like your feminine power, part of it, but like your feminine power, like all of it, right? Like some of you have difficulty tapping into your feminine power. You have difficulty approaching or working or collaborating with feminine based spirits, and even working or approaching or feeling intimidated, not that they're not intimidating, some of these like really dense, enriched primordial feminine energies, because they also, the thing is that these energies also contain a lot of the magic that you need in order to power your workings. There's a note here of some of your workings and your spells are like experiments. They're like science, and a lot of them aren't working because you don't have enough political support in the spirit, meaning that you need other spiritual energies, guides, gods, ancestors to advocate for you, to go, yes, we like this. You need to build spiritual support, not that you don't have any, but for like a very, for your life in general, but for like a very specific thing, like this is something that I want. I would like to manifest X, Y, and Z. You need to like garner support for that in the spirit. You're going to get that support from them. Also, a lot of your workings or your manifestations, you guys are using a lot of your own energy, which is fine, but you as a singular human person, you cannot produce always all of the necessary energy to bring a certain working or intention or spell to pass. You need to put in other energy, which is why we have covens, which is why you may light extra candles, or you use extra crystals to amplify and expand energy, which is why you might call in an ancestor, or you might call in a spirit, you might call in a deity, so that way they can lend their energy, their magic. Part of what she wants to communicate is stop feeling bad about yourself, and stop feeling bad for yourself because certain things aren't working and coming to pass. It's much easier to acknowledge maybe there is a little bit of a science to this and I need to brush up on some of my skills. So instead of walking around and moping about my manifestations not coming in, let's actually go back to the drawing board. Was the energy stable? Did we have enough energetic support? Did we need to bring in different elements, right? Like these different things, and allow yourself to work the program and to work the problem. This is a big thing that she wants to emphasize, the ability to workshop problems, that sometimes things aren't coming in for you, or they're not working out the way you thought, because you're actually supposed to go in and troubleshoot, because those blockages and those delays are also very similar, even if it's not in the same thing that you're doing throughout your family line. It's almost like that's a checkpoint. No one can figure out like that problem, or no one can figure out how to overcome that hurdle of the ego, or no one can come this. So in a lot of ways, a lot of you are like kind of in this like spiritual jungle gym, where a lot of the spiritual work that you're doing obviously is impacting what is and is not coming in for you in the physical. And instead of getting kind of despondent or depressed about it, and then again, either feeling so bad about how things are going, or feeling bad for yourself, like kind of pity party kind of thing, instead we can be going in and workshopping and troubleshooting those energies. And what immediately comes in is, did you notice that a lot of the guidance that's coming in is very friendly, and it's very realistic, and it is very like warm, and it's helpful. She wants to emphasize that you may be surprised that a lot of these larger spiritual forces or energies, and again, she's specifically referring to like the primordial feminine divine, or like the deep Chetonic divine, that your intimidation to approach them feeling as though, I don't know, what wants to come through is You are intimidated because you think that we're going to treat you the way that the male gods treat you. And that's your first problem. If you notice, what is coming in is applicable, actionable, practical, reasonable. We're not asking you to sell your soul. We're just asking you to get some scrap paper and to work the problem. What's up with Hecate? And it's just like in a daytime talk show where it's like there's always like a topic of the day. Today we're talking about infidelity and how to make the perfect quiche, right? Like there's sort of like that energy that comes forward where she's like, yeah, I'm a lot of things, but like I can also like kind of be your pal, and there will be people that say the gods are not your friends and whatever, but it's just the energy of like, no, like you're welcome, you're not below, you're not beneath, like come in. It's like come into the hearth, come sit around the coffee table, have a biscotti, let's workshop this problem, right? And I feel like that's exciting. A lot of you are ready to have a new like spiritual and emotional experience like within your practice. And so there is an invitation to, how do I want to phrase this? Because the concept of ritual is coming up, but there's something about like an introduction before formality. Like some of you feel as though you may have to have a full-blown altar. You may have to go through some kind of ritual. You might have to like do the most in order to like approach a Hecate or to approach a Juno or to approach a Nyx or to approach a whatever, right? There are certain spirits names I don't speak in my practice, but whatever it may be, that you may be like intimidated to again approach them because you feel as though you have to come with like robes and candles and like, and it doesn't have to be like that. It could be something as easy as we have a topic of the day and we're going to come and have some chit chat about it. There's just a feeling of we want to neutralize that intimidation. We want to neutralize that fear. So that way you can actually like come into, and I always use this as an example from the Women Who Run with Wolves. And I've read this book. I taught, for those of you that don't know, we actually taught a tarot class, book club in the Patreon this summer called The Women Who Run with Tarot, and we rewilded the women and a lot of the major arcana in the tarot using this book. And you could still do all of like the exercises and like you could do that book club independently for yourself on the Patreon if you're ever interested. But one of the fables that's used is the story of Vasilisa and the Baba Yaga. And in order for Vasilisa to basically like self-actualize, she has to come into the Baba Yaga's hut. But she's afraid to because it's the Baba Yaga, and who wants to walk into a house that has chicken legs? Like that's weird as shit, right? But she does. And the Baba, she makes her do a bunch of chores and cleaning and cooking, like kind of like in her Cinderella era, like before the carriage, you know? But after she gets over that fear and that intimidation, she learns a lot about herself. She learns a lot about strategy. She learns a lot about her magic. She learns a lot about spiritual initiation. She learns a whole fucking lot. And so even if like Vasilisa, one day you're gonna leave the hut and you're gonna go back to your castle or you're gonna go back to your regular life, there is sort of a feeling here of like come into the hut, come by the hearth, come to your primordial mothers so they can give you some like advice that you can actually use. Is how that wants to come forward. And I know how that kind of sounds, but that's how it comes forward, and I'm not gonna correct it. I'm not gonna correct it. Not me. Not this girl. So perseverance. Yeah. So, okay. So there's a few other messages that had come through previously. I want to see if I can pull them back in. Here we look. The moon. Oh, okay. So when I first sat down, I noted that one, I felt like I wasn't cozy enough. I wasn't cold, but I wasn't cozy enough. So it was like, I want to get this blankie, and I did not make myself a cup of cocoa, but like I feel like I have this like I need to have a cup of cocoa. Like as soon as I click off this video, like we're going to cocoa town. Like it's cocoa time, and all of that for me screams like the comfort. What she's saying is a lot of you are feeling, you're having these moments of agitation, and your agitation is valid, and you most immediately might be thinking it's because I'm busy, I'm stressed about money, I got this going on, I got that going on. Those are all like normal reasons to feel a little tight, right? But underneath all of that, she's saying an element or an aspect that you might not be counting in, is that you might have gone so long without comfort, without emotional relief. For some of you, even like physical, like touch, like hugging, just like embrace, like touch starved. There's like a deep need for like comfort here, that like the adult in you is very busy, but the child within you might actually be, I wouldn't say like the child within you is having a difficult time this holiday season for a variety of your own personal reasons, and your inner child requires extra comfort right now. Like I almost see you like waking up in the middle of the night and like wanting to like eat candy, or like snacking at weird times, or like I'm gonna have a cocoa in the morning, right, instead of at night. Like, you know, it's like there's something interesting about wanting to do things a little off schedule, or wanting to pull in like extra treats. And like there's almost a feeling of like I see this like something slapping your hand away, and there's also like a very critical energy of like almost like don't be a glutton, or don't do this, or don't do that. It's really interesting. So one, there could be an aspect of like your own inner critic, that maybe you like picked up on from someone, an authority figure, an old partner, someone that was like too hard on you. And there's almost a feeling of, no, you can't have that treat right now. It's not time for that. Or like, no, you can't have candy for breakfast. Like there's something in that. It's like a swatting your hand away. And it feels like part of this is also like in the spirit, a larger collective message in like, I guess there is no in and outside Hecate, because Hecate is all things, but you know, for semantics sake, like outside of any channeling with Hecate, I've been getting like a large collective message, and we've been doing this for like a year now in the Patreon, about the ancestors, and which ones you can work with and which ones are unwork-withable, and when to branch off the family tree, when to add on to it, when to blow the acorn a little further down the road. Like we've been doing a lot of like ancestral tinkering. Then there, I feel like I'm losing that thread somehow, but interesting. Oh, thank you. She's saying that some of that, like, no, you shouldn't have that, or no, you're not a child, or like, no, you need to be serious, or like, no, it's just a no, you don't get to have a treat right now, you don't get that comfort, grow up, bootstrap, like that kind of feeling. I hate it, get out of my body. I hate that feeling. As a Pisces, I'm far too sensitive for that. And as a fire moon, I'm way too sassy for that. But essentially she's saying some of that hand smacking energy might be coming from like an ancestor. Because part of like that larger channeling is like, some of the reason for the past few years that things haven't worked out is because some of you have like really shitty ancestors, like that just don't want you to succeed in whatever it is that you've chosen for yourself. Not your kin is not always your kind, and just because someone is an elder or is an older doesn't mean that they're an elder, and just because someone is an ancestor does not mean that they are elevated. In many cultures, in many practices, and in many traditions, ancestors is actually an elevated term. So just because someone is part of your bloodline does not mean that they are part of your ancestors. And why? Okay, I feel like I'm educating a lot. I actually have a ball cap over here that says Hierophant. Even if you are an animist, which I am an animist, like nature, the animals, the trees, like those could be considered your ancestors. If you consider yourself a witch, right, then like Circe, like the witches who came before you, they're counted amongst your ancestors more than like your weird grandma who never liked you, right? So, and I feel like she's having me like just sprinkle in these like, did you know, like, by the way, like here and there, just for some of you to have like a little thread to like follow and go like research or do a little deep dive if you want to. But the idea here is, again, the adult is very busy, but the holidays are a contentious time. They may be triggering some of you, and the child within still needs comfort. And especially if it's like appropriate and it's doable and it's not harmful in any way, right? It's not putting you in major debt. It's just like a cocoa or like a little movie night, or like, you know, you took a half day and like took a nap, God forbid, something like that. If there's an energy that's like smacking your hand away, first of all, challenge it. You don't have to go to battle. And she's saying like now is not necessarily like a time for spiritual warfare. There is an acknowledgement that a lot of you are being pressed upon, and you are being provoked spiritually in some way. The Andean cross represents, like I call it actually, funny enough, my spiritual baseball card, it's about initiation. It's about making through the steps. Sometimes those energies or those antagonists come forward to tighten you up, right? To make you more mature, to make it easier for you to detach from things, to make it easier for you to depersonalize things, to make it easier for you to see over the distraction and like towards the solution, towards the finish line, towards what you're doing. Again, that's all like Baba Yaga in the hut type of stuff. So again, there is an acknowledgement there that like a lot of you are being provoked upon, but you have like other work to be doing right now. And that other work will not get accomplished, whether it's just like calendar day-to-day stuff or whether it's like larger things you're building towards, unless you allow yourself to comfort the inner child within, especially during this season. And so again, if you need to wear the cozy pants, if you need to give up hard pants all month, if you need an extra blankie, if you need to accommodate yourself or have a cocoa in the morning or do something sweet or nice for yourself, allow yourself to do it. 'Tis the season. And she's saying that charity starts at home. Don't go out into this world and fall over every puddle for every princess that you see. And then you come home and you sleep on bricks, right? You need to make sure that before you go out in the world, spoiling everyone, fa-la-la-la-la-ing, doing whatever the hell it is you're doing out there. Because I know you're out there doing the most and probably half the time for people who don't even really appreciate it. I need you to do a little bit more of that at home for yourself. Please take some of that time because, and this is something I used to say this 12 years ago when I was bartending. Nobody's ever going to offer you a day off. Hey, you look like you're having a hard time. You look a little tired. You've been doing a lot for everyone. We appreciate you so much. Why don't you take a little extra time for you? Like, it would be nice, but people don't do that. And we also don't have to like kick and scream and do that either. We can just go, hey, I need some comfort. I need a little treat because if I don't get it, in like 2 days, I'm gonna become a raging asshole. So I'm gonna need a nap and a bubble bath and a little pint of chocolate ice cream and a little movie night, and then I'll be all right. You need to take that for yourself. Like, don't work against your own best interest. It's funny with the comfort thing too. She's also bringing up Halloween and like a Nightmare Before Christmas. And I know this sounds so funny, but she's making me feel like you didn't get enough Halloween time. Like Halloween or like the season of fall has felt like very rushed for you or like very busy. That like you didn't get to do all of your Halloweening, and so I wonder if like you need a night or two where it's like you watch The Craft and you watch Practical Magic and you watch The Nightmare Before Christmas and you watch just like all of the Halloween movies like you possibly could. Like you have yourself a little Anton time and you just do your thing, right? I don't know, I feel like you need that even though it's like out of season, and that's what it is. Like, I actually do want to have a little Halloween night and make a pumpkin bread, but I feel like it's December and I can't anymore. It's like, you can like have a Halloween night if you want. It sounds so funny. I really like that though. Also, not for nothing, but we also have the ancient ones coming out as well. Just again, really re-emphasizing like the heavies, and with the moon card here, obviously we know Hecate is very representative of the moon. This almost feels, I don't know, like a farmer, like pulling something up, pulling something out of the soil. You might be receiving, a lot of you, messages about soil, lightning, and the beloved. A lot of you are also going through activations right now. You progress and develop personally a little bit. You get a little bit more mature. You learn how to be more cooperative. You learn how to maybe not say every thought that pops in your head, you know? You follow your instructions. New spiritual gifts unlock. There may also be a time in a season where you require a little bit more rest. Because you might be thinking, I have to rest because I'm getting sick or I'm depressed or like something's wrong. And again, that might be flaring up that hustle capitalistic, or even that like inner critic or the ancestor that's like, no, you have to go. It's not necessarily a season to be like resting on your laurels. It's almost like let's keep making moves, but let's not drive ourselves crazy, because you're activating and you're integrating a lot of new energies before they activate. Sometimes shit just activates like before it integrates, and then that energy feels really intense and like fizzy right on the surface. You don't really know how to control the energy or the power that like you now possess. That will also reflect the source of that energy, where it came from. These energies and these gifts and that are being activated, but some of them are also saying bestowed. So it's also worth considering that there are certain, okay, Okay, that there are certain gifts and abilities within your bloodline that are not automatically like passed down. They're not like, no one is entitled to them. Like, you have to earn them or prove that you can handle them responsibly. They come from a deeper place within the magic of your family, within the magic of your bloodline. They're only released by the matriarchs, like eggs is what they're showing me. Like, almost like in how do I want to phrase this? Within the biology of like natural born women, like you are born with all of the eggs you're ever gonna have, and like there's the idea of like you were a part of like your grandmother's eggs. The science of it really freaks me out, to be honest. That's not the point. The point is like there's something about you are just like eggs. Like, you were born with like all of the magic. Like, you were born with what is automatically passed down through the line, but there are these other, I wonder, are you seeing like golden goose at like symbolisms and stuff like that? Because there are like these golden goose eggs that only get passed down, and it's not like every fourth generations. It's not like twins. It's like, again, you have to be developed enough as a person to both understand like what that gifting is and how to use it and when to not use it, and those things are integrated before they're activated. So it's the idea of, you are going to go through driver's ed, right? You're going to read the manual, you're going to take the test, we're going to take your ass to the DMV, you're going to do your drive, you're going to integrate it all, and then they're going to be activated. They're saying for public use. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be on a public platform like this, or you have to offer them as a service, but that you can like use them like out in the world. You can use them out in the world. They're literally showing me someone in a shitty office. You know those offices that are painted like those really weird like beigey colors that makes you a little like, is this salmon or what is this color? And they're showing me a break room with one of those old water coolers, people in fucking pantsuits that don't fit well, stained coffee mugs. You could smell someone burnt the coffee. Okay, why? Where are you taking me? Bring me back. And they're basically showing me, particularly showing a woman trying to converse with a male boss, and this could be literal, or again, this could just be like dramatization, symbolic, but like literally trying to like almost like get time off or something like that. It's a gift. Part of the gift is of persuasion, and it's not unlike, but not identical to the gift of gab. A lot of you have the gift of gab. Do you ever notice that people always talk the most shit about the gifts that you have that are God-given? Is how that comes forward, that you have a gift of gab and it's tied to the gift of persuasion, but the gift of persuasion is an actual god as well, or like an entity. It's associated also with like charm and cleverness, and I forget the specific name of it, but it's also associated with Aphrodite. That's interesting. But essentially, she's showing me a woman in a break room trying to get like time off or trying to get something like from her boss, who's like, he's got he's really not like having it. But then she doesn't say anything. She like looks at him and she like blinks twice. Like all of a sudden it's like, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, it's like a power of persuasion that doesn't require communication. This video is getting, I don't know how many views this video is getting at. Probably not that many. Because whenever I have like that's super specific like that, it doesn't like go out. As long as it gets to you and you need it. That's all that matters. Yeah, there's something really interesting in that. But again, these new gifts and abilities are going to be integrated before they're activated. And once they're activated, you can go and like use them in the wild. And they're also saying like off the leash. Like you can use them in the wild, like off the leash. Like you're a responsible adult. This is your ability that's been gifted to you. Do what thou will, right? Do what thou will. Because you know how to keep yourself in check is basically kind of like the sentiment that we're getting there. But because these energies are really like prolific, the integration of them, it takes more. Your lower energy centers, like your gut, like your menstruation cycle, your digestion, all that stuff might be kind of wonky for a minute in truth. Because a lot of that is being like, it feels like it's being like things are uprooted and then being replanted in the root chakra, like in your lower energy centers. And so you probably will need more rest, because you always need rest when you're integrating new energies. A lot of people will call it like ascension flu type of thing, which is also very common. So again, it's cold and flu season. Don't, keep your wits about you. But if this is resonating for you, you'll likely go, oh, you know what? Some of my gifts are increasing. Yes, some of my abilities are getting sharper. And what she's also saying is what you possess is elevated and upgraded before the activation of like the newer abilities. So whatever it is you already possess, your clairvoyance or your sensitivity or this or that, your dreams, all of that are going to improve and refine and heighten. And then it's like we upgrade the whole system, not just a part. She's saying part of the problem in the past, if you notice, is a new ability would come in without any training, or something would come in and it was supposed to be the thing to uplift the system, which put too much pressure on that thing and the bottom would fall out. You have to upgrade the entire system first, so that way the new thing is in alignment. Otherwise, she's saying it's like a transfer fail, like when someone gets like an organ transplant and the body rejects it. It's like that, because that may tie some loose threads for you, that may connect some dots about what parts of the process were unsuccessful last time. The universe in perspective. Yeah, well, it's interesting because she is a goddess of sort of like of the universe. We have clarity, we have isolation. What's that noise? My. Well. She's also, what is she showing me? She's showing me an illustration, an expression of herself in like a human form, and it looks like she looks like she's taking a boulder. That's so interesting. A boulder, and she's uplifting it, and there's like a little lizard underneath, and I see it scurrying away, but there's also something like underneath that boulder, and it looks like that really weird, gross form of Voldemort at like the end of the Harry Potter movies, when he's on on the train tracks, right? And it's Harry and it's Dumbledore, and he's like that. It's something like that, like underneath. It's underneath the boulder, and that's the well, look what we have here. If that's the culprit after all, and there's sort of like a plucking, and she's actually putting it in a jar. She's putting it in a jar, so she's containing it. That's interesting. So, she's a really fun energy to work with the channel. And she's also saying, for those of you that left out offerings on Hecate's night, she's going, thank you for the offerings. Thank you for the offerings. Going like, which is actually like very sweet. When what I enjoy is when her maiden energy comes forward. It's like very cute. It's very cute. Anyway, there seems to be whatever spiritual blockage or an antagonist, or what it actually feels like, kind of similar to Harry Potter. It almost feels like someone threw something at you like a long time ago, and like you got rid of it, but it's like there was still like the initial cut kind of thing, and like we didn't get rid of that, or like the imprint of their energy or whatever, almost like an egregore, which is really weird. It's like when people get obsessed with you enough to like throw workings at you and stuff, it's because they're fucking obsessed, and that obsession can literally create like a spiritual entity, like thought forms, right? Collective consciousness, thought forms can become things of sorts, and it almost feels like that, like someone was at one point, when someone was obsessed with you, or maybe it's a family line thing, someone was obsessed with something having to do with your family. That obsession, it grew almost into like this egregore kind of thing, and it just hangs around like a fucking haircut growing out, and it almost acts as like a blockage, or almost acts like, I don't know, like the word nymph is coming forward, but that's not right. It's almost like it's a different word, but I can't find it, but it's almost like a little, like a sprite, or like a little elemental energy that like it's mischievous. It's not deadly, but it's just mischievous. It just like gets in the way, just fucks things up. And she's showing like this, it likes to cross the wires. There's what she's showing me is there's 2 wires throughout time that have been connected to you, one that has good advice and one that has like bad advice that like sends you running in circles. And it's almost like the one advice is like, this is practical advice that makes sense to help you go this way, and it's like, this is kind of ass backwards advice that's going to have you running in circles. And through the process of running in circles, one day you'll have this is stupid, why am I doing this? And then you'll start going in the right direction. And that energy, like, it almost feels like it likes to scramble the wires to make you feel like, no, I have to go up the mountain, I have to do X, Y, and Z, I have to be doing a lot. Whereas this other energy is like, no, you don't. You just have to make the right moves. You don't have to make all the moves, just the right one. And so essentially it feels like that energy is being identified. I understand. It's because for those of you that will allow her close enough to assist you, and again, she's repeating, it doesn't have to be me, but allow her close enough to assist you means that you have now consented to her being deeper within your energy, which makes it easier for her to find, as the goddess in this case of everything, all of those liminal spaces, those liminal spiritual spaces that you may forget exist. To go in and go, well, that's the thing. And I just see her like plucking it and like putting it in a jar, which is meant to contain it, but I don't know, she's also doing something with it. She's doing something with it, and I don't know what, and it's not my business, so I'm not. She's turning it into something else. The medicine wheel, she's turning it into something else. She's turning it into something else. Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, cool. Good for you. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Good. She's turning it into something else to make it work for you. Sounds like a mantra. Turning it into something else to make it work for you. Turning it into something else to make it work for you. Interesting. All right, let's see. What are we at? 36 minutes? Lord in heaven. Planning. Let's see. Weird. The imagery. There's also a lot of boxing imagery that's coming forward, which is so interesting. She's showing me like what is that movie? Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal. The lefties. The image that I'm getting, and she's saying it's just a reminder, and there's a dove. There's a nice little dove. Praise Aphrodite. She might be popping in here too. Right on the, what a pretty dove. Right here on my fence. She's showing me a boxing ring, and you basically getting like your teeth punched in. But then I see you like smiling, and it's like, your teeth are on like the mat, which I think is supposed to represent like life and spirit just kicking the shit out of you for like way too long. But then like I see you like lift your head up and then you smile and like all your teeth are golden. So like I don't know what that is either. And like you have this like really mischievous look on your face. It's like, bam, spit out the blood in the teeth, look up and then smile and all your teeth are golden. And she's trying to tie that into actually Jesus and how Jesus always says turn the other cheek, and it's not about, and that how that is not a message of submission and the enablement of abuse, but the turning the other cheek is representative of allowing people to reveal their true nature. And so there's something here about if over the last, you're saying specifically 6 months to a year. If there's something about and I just heard someone, it's been the last 6 years, Lauren. I know, but she's saying in particular last 6 months to a year. If it feels as though like you've been getting your shit rocked, and particularly like people, and what wants to come through is if people have been fighting dirty, or if it feels as though people have been coming after you or trying to make you an enemy when you're not one. Thank you. There's something interesting in that energy about you not retaliating. And she's showing me like I just bit my tongue and it hurts, but those moments where you bit your tongue as like, and I think that's part of a larger lesson from like the Baba Yaga hut, but you learning to bite your tongue, you learning how to like basically allow people to reveal themselves, who they are, their character, what they do. If you're still if you're gone, why is there still a problem? If you haven't spoken to anyone, why are people still talking about you? right? Little things like that, that you have allowed yourself successfully to control yourself where other people couldn't, thus revealing their character. So in that, I would not be surprised if in the coming days, weeks, months, and even they're saying like up to like the next 2 to 3 years, if there are certain people that come around like, oh, I'm sorry, I was listening to so and so. I see you just going like a, carry on, just, like, you're not here anymore at that number. That's very interesting. And again, there's something really mischievous about this, like this golden smile, which it very much reminds me of like the last laugh. I think a lot of you may be getting a deeper impression of like, maybe I really am going to get the last laugh. Like, it's almost like maybe God's coming back for me. Like, maybe this is not, I'm not the child that was left behind. I didn't fall through the cracks. They're coming back around. I wouldn't be surprised if you were seeing the Chariot card a lot to indicate that. Even like white horses. Thank you. I gotta work on my short-term memory. And the last message I will leave you with, my loves, is and it ties into what I was just saying. It's about business, about telling people, reminding people, especially in spirit, for those of you that deal with like a lot of projection, or you can feel like a lot of people in your energy. You have to like remind people to mind their own fucking business. And like literally, like that's the statement of it. It's like, mind your own business. Like, you're not the boss of me. You got other shit to be dealing with. Because it feels like people keep popping into your energy to check on you, or again, maybe they're talking about whatever it is, but people are popping into your energy. So in your energy, you have to go, mind your own fucking business, leave me alone, stay out of my energy. Like, you actually have the ability to do that. And again, I don't know if you guys know that. If you're just like, they're in my energy, I hate it. Take a spiritual bath, put out the limes and salt. Like, use the spiritual tools that are in your toolkits. What I always tell all of the bees on the Patreon, I give you these tools, use them. They're not all for me, they're for you. Use them. But sometimes it is clearly as simple as like someone being like in your energy and you dropping into your own energy and going, get the fuck out of here. Mind your own business. Or even if people in real life, they're poking, they're prodding, they're asking, mind your own business. And you gotta mind your own business. You have to, it's almost like you have to practice it, like in the mirror, like, I'm not Josie Gross anymore. That's my purse. Like, you have to do it. You have to tell people to mind their own fucking business. She's saying just to start. We'll get to the other stuff soon. But until then, she also said, before you put someone in the freezer, have you considered just telling them to mind their own fucking business? So there might be something about even that biting of the tongue. There also might be something they're saying is, and this is the last message, the last message I'm going to leave, I think, is now that you have learned to control your tongue, we're going to teach you how to work your bite. So that may be in speech. That also may be in workings as well, as she is the goddess of magic. So this is what I have. Also, I don't know why I feel the need to do this on camera and show you, but some of you need to make a sweetening jar for whatever it is that you want. If you don't know how to make that, let me know. This is what I have for you. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. But I hope this was helpful for you, for whoever this is for. What's up with Hecate? I love you so much. I hope these messages were entertaining. I hope they were supportive and uplifting to you as a person and as a practitioner. Thank you for coming in and spending this time with me. Any information that you will need from me on memberships, on personal readings, on our giveaways that we're doing this month, and we're doing a few different giveaways. We're doing readings, we are giving away tarot decks, we are giving away books, and we are giving away something very, very special at the very end of the month that I'm very excited for. But we are not there yet. Now we're here. So I love you. Any information you'll need, we right down in the description box. Make sure you follow me on my other socials, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.